Listen to stories and appreciate idioms. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Encountering Chinese, Encountering Idioms. Today, the idiom we are going to encounter is
覆水难收.
Let's break it down and read it slowly.
覆水难收. 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 覆
means originally meant to flip, later extended to mean pour, overturn, or splash.
水
means water.
难
means cannot.
收
means to take back.
覆水难收
literally means that spilled water cannot be gathered up again. Now it metaphorically refers to a situation that has become irreversible. It is difficult to salvage or restore. It can also imply a broken marriage or relationship that is hard to reconcile. The idiom
覆水难收
originated from the book Records of the Later Han, biography of He Jin written by Fan Yi in the Southern Dynasty. The original text states,
国家之事亦何容易，覆水不可收，宜深思之.
The meaning of this phrase is that national affairs are not easily resolved, just like spilled water cannot be recovered. It is worthy of our deep contemplation. The historical anecdote behind this idiom is as follows. During the late years of the Shang dynasty, there was a military strategist who achieved greatness later in life. His name was Jiang Ziya. In his youth, Jiang Ziya lived a humble and unnoticed life. Eventually, when he reached adulthood, he married a woman surnamed Ma, and she was commonly known as Madame Ma. After Jiang Ziya and Madame Ma got married, they lived a peaceful life. However, as Jiang Ziya grew older, he still hadn't achieved any remarkable accomplishments. Their family gradually fell into poverty. But Jiang Ziya, with his proud nature, refused to serve the incompetent King Zhou, so he chose to seclude himself and spent his days leisurely fishing. He believed that he was waiting for the right opportunity, and once it arrived, he would surely achieve success. However, Madame Ma didn't share the same belief. In her eyes, their family became poorer and poorer while Jiang Ziya idly fished every day, which she found to be too much. So, every day, Madame Ma complained to Jiang Ziya, expressing her unwillingness to continue living with him. Aware of the hardships endured by Madame Ma, Jiang Ziya tried to persuade her, saying, "Please be patient. I am a talented and knowledgeable person. One day, I will make you wealthy. I am simply waiting for the right opportunity. Please believe in me." But Madame Ma couldn't be convinced. She said to Jiang Ziya, "You keep talking about waiting for an opportunity. So many years have passed, and our family has become increasingly impoverished, yet the opportunity still hasn't arrived. You must be deceiving me again. Now, I simply cannot believe your words anymore." And so, the two of them quarreled almost every day. Finally, one day, Madame Ma couldn't bear it any longer and decided to leave Jiang Ziya for good. Knowing that Madame Ma had made up her mind to leave, Jiang Ziya tried to persuade her again, but his efforts were in vain. He reluctantly allowed Madame Ma to leave. Days passed, and when Jiangxia was nearing 80 years old, he encountered King Wen of the Zhou dynasty, Ji Cheng, while fishing. They talked for a long time, and Ji Cheng discovered that Jiangxia was indeed highly talented. He earnestly requested Jiangxia's assistance. Jiangxia realized that he had finally found someone who recognized and appreciated his abilities. So, he happily accepted Ji Cheng's invitation. Ji Cheng respected talented individuals and held Jiangxia in high regard, thus he bestowed upon him the title of Taisher, and consulted with him daily on how to govern the country. With Jiangxia's help, Ji Cheng's realm prospered, and the people became affluent while the military grew stronger. However, Ji Cheng eventually grew old. Not long after, he passed away due to illness. Before his death, Ji Cheng entrusted his son, Ji Far, to Jiangxia, asking him to assist Ji Far in governing the country effectively. Ji Far, like his father, cherished talent and cared for the people, which led to further prosperity in the areas under his rule, in stark contrast to the brutal rule of the Shang dynasty. Eventually, with the support of the people, Ji Far overthrew the Shang dynasty and established the Zhou dynasty. Much of this success was attributed to the contributions of Jiangxia. Grateful for Jiangxia's assistance, Ji Far rewarded him with land and wealth. Suddenly, Jiangxia not only became wealthy but also gained status and reputation. When Madame Ma heard about Jiangxia's newfound wealth and high-ranking position, she deeply regretted leaving him. She went to the place where Jiangxia resided and requested to continue living with him. Madame Ma said to Jiangxia, "Look, we have been husband and wife for so many years. I have taken care of you every day. We have a deep bond. Now that I have returned, you should keep me by your side. I will continue taking care of you." However, Jiangxia saw through Madame Ma's true intentions and had no desire to live with her anymore. But Madame Ma persistently visited him every day to persuade him. One day, Madame Ma came to Jiangxia's residence once again and tried to persuade him. Jiangxia poured a jug of water onto the ground and said to Madame Ma, "Since you are so insistent, let's do this. If you can retrieve the water I poured on the ground back into the jug, then we can continue living together." Upon hearing this, Madame Ma hurriedly squatted down to gather the water from the ground. However, the water had already seeped into the soil. After several attempts, all she could retrieve was some muddy water. Seeing Madame Ma's efforts, Jiangxia sighed and said, "How can spilled water be gathered again? Don't you understand? Our years of affection are like this jug of water, impossible to recover." In this story, Jiangxia poured out a jug of water and asked Madame Ma to retrieve it. However, no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't do it. Hence, this is the idiom,
覆水难收.
There is another story. According to legend, during the Western Han Dynasty, there was a man named Xu Maichen in the Kuaiji area. He was born into a very poor family and remained extremely impoverished until he turned 40. To make a living, he would go to the mountains every day to chop firewood and exchange it for meager amounts of money. Despite his poverty, Xu Maichen was intelligent and loved to read. He would recite poems and verses while carrying firewood, appearing absent-minded and aloof, never greeting his neighbors. People around him would secretly laugh at him, saying behind his back, "Shu Maichen is so foolish. What's the point of reading when he's so poor? Look at him every day, acting so silly. It's really amusing." Hearing these remarks, Shu Maichen not only ignored them but also recited his poems even louder. The sound was so loud that people thought he was singing folk songs, and the neighbors would rush over to see what was happening. Shu Maichen's wife was deeply embarrassed when she saw his behavior. One day, after Shu Maichen returned home, his wife said to him, "You recite poems every day, and the neighbors laugh at you behind your back. Don't you care at all? Your actions make me feel extremely ashamed. I can't continue living with you anymore." Shu Maichen remained indifferent and smiled at his wife, saying, "Don't judge me by my poverty. Someone once predicted that I would achieve greatness later in life. I will become wealthy and respected. You have lived with me for over 20 years, enduring much hardship. Please wait a few more years for me. I will surely achieve something. At that time, I will repay you well." Despite Shu Maichen's explanations, he couldn't appease his wife's anger. Helplessly, Shu Maichen decided to part ways with his wife. Finally, when his wife stopped being angry, she took her belongings and left him without any attachment. From that moment on, life became peaceful again. Shu Maichen continued to chop firewood in the mountains to make a living, and he still read every day. His former wife married someone else. Although she had left him, she still cherished their past relationship. Sometimes, when she saw Shu Maichen without food, she would prepare meals for him to ensure he didn't go hungry. That year, Emperor Jing of the Han dynasty passed away due to illness. His son, Liu Che, succeeded him and became known as Emperor Wu of Han. Emperor Wu respected talent, especially those with knowledge. One of Shu Maichen's friends recommended him to Emperor Wu. When Shu Maichen met Emperor Wu, he explained many obscure and difficult books to him, which greatly pleased the emperor. Eventually, Emperor Wu decided to appoint Shu Maichen as a high-ranking official. After becoming an official, Shu Maichen worked diligently to serve the people, and his position quickly rose. He became the magistrate of Kuaiji, in charge of the local affairs in his hometown. After being promoted, Shu Maichen returned to his hometown and coincidentally encountered his former wife and her husband on the road. Shu Maichen expressed his gratitude for his former wife's past care and invited them to his home, where he warmly entertained them. Seeing Shu Maichen again, his former wife felt regret and shame. But she knew that their relationship was irreparable and could never be restored. As a result, she soon took her own life. In this story, Shu Maichen's wife realized that their relationship was irreparable and could not be salvaged. Thus, the idiom,
覆水难收.
Two stories have been told. Next, let's review the idiom we encountered today.
覆水难收. 覆水难收.
Finally, let's use
覆水难收
to make a sentence.
看来这事已经是覆水难收， 结局只能如此。看来这是已经是覆水难收，结局只能如此。
That's all for today's Encountering Idioms. If you enjoy it, please like and subscribe. See you next time.